being alive. So I thought this morning I would bring these two tunes that, of course, Cantor Zoe taught us, because they run into each other, and therefore they highlight the interconnectedness of body and soul. So we start on page 162 with Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher yatzar et adam b'chokhmah u'v'ravo nekavim chalulim Asher yatzar et adam b'chokhmah u'v'ravo nekavim chalulim galui v'yadua lifnei chisei kavodecha she'im yipatech echad mehem o yisatem echad mehem Yefshar lehitzkayem v'lamod lefanecha Baruch atah Adonai rofeh kol basar u'mafli la'asot Elohai Elohai neshama Shenatata bi tehorahi Elohai Elohai neshama Shenatata bi tehorahi Ata barata, ata yetzarta, ata nefachta bi. Ve'ata meshamra bekirbi. Elohai, Elohai, neshama. Shenatata bi tehorahi. Atam Hashem Rabbi Kirbi, V'atati titla mimeni l'chayei olam, kol zman shenshama kirbi, modani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai ve'Elohei avotai, she'ata hu ribon kol hamasim, moshel b'kol habriot, Adon kol haneshamot, Baruch atah Adonai, v'machazir neshamot lametim. And with that duality brought together with those prayers, we move to more blessings, more celebrations of all of the tiny processes that go into our waking up for a new day and celebrating that fact. On page 164, I don't know if the link to the online Siddur has been posted, but I believe it will be, and therefore everyone will be able to follow along in the Siddur. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'lo asani nochriya. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'lo asani shivcha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin metzadei kafer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, osei Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, osei Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten le'ayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir shena me'einai utmuna me'afafa.
Top of page 166. We should always be in awe of God, in private as well as in public. Speak the truth aloud and mean it in our heart. And Shuli's going to take us into the Ribon Ha'olamim on the next page.
Which is one of my favorite prayers because it so openly acknowledges the mysteries at the heart of our existence. Source of existence and of all human strength, we do not rely on our own good deeds, but on your great mercy as we lay our needs before you. Adonai Shema'a, God hear. Adonai Salacha, God pardon. Adonai Hakshiva v'aseh, God listen and act. Ma'anu, what are we? Mechayenu, what is our life? Mechazdenu, what is our love? Ma'atzidkotenu, what is our justice? Ma'ishuatenu, what is our success? Ma'kochenu, what is our endurance? Ma'gavoratenu, what is our power? Ma'namar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elokei avotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, what can we say before you?
We're going to have our study passage now. You can join me with the blessing, which is on page 169. Oh, and there it appears on the screen. That's wonderful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And equally miraculously, our study text should now appear on the screen as well. There it is. I know that Miriam shared last weekend the beginning of a lecture that Abraham Joshua Heschel gave in 1963, January 1963, to a large conference on race and religion in Chicago. And I've found that text and have extracted a couple of paragraphs from his, it was a long speech, it seems. It must have taken ages to give. I think it must have been about an hour and a half by the time you read it all, but it's a most wonderful speech called Religion and Race. If anyone's interested in reading the whole thing, let me know and I'll give you a link to where you can find it now. And I should give you, sort of in the spirit of these times that we live in, just a couple of things before I read it. Notes. First of all, that Heschel, of course, was writing in a time before gender inclusive language. So you'll recognize that era, 1963. And also he uses the term for African American, which has now become the conventional normative term for the Black community in America. He uses a different phrase, which was the normative phrase at the time. So just to let you know that that's coming up. Who shall plead for the helpless? Who shall prevent the epidemic of injustice that no court of justice is capable of stopping? In a sense, the calling of the prophet may be described as that of an advocate or champion, speaking for those who are too weak to plead their own cause. Indeed, the major activity of the prophets was interference, remonstrating about wrongs inflicted on other people, meddling in affairs which were seemingly neither their concern nor their responsibility. A prudent man is he who minds his own business, staying away from questions which do not involve his own interests, particularly when not authorized to step in. And prophets were given no mandate by the widows and orphans to plead their cause. The prophet is a person who is not tolerant of wrongs done to others, who resents other people's injuries. He even calls upon others to be the champions of the poor. It is to every member of the community, not alone to the judges, that Isaiah directs his plea. Seek justice, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. There is an evil which most of us condone and are even guilty of: indifference to evil. We remain neutral, impartial, and not easily moved by the wrongs done unto other people. Indifference to evil is more insidious than evil itself. It's more universal, more contagious, more dangerous. A silent justification, it makes possible an evil erupting as an exception becoming the rule and being in turn accepted. The prophet's great contribution to humanity was the discovery of the evil of indifference. Actually, that's Heschel's great contribution to humanity, which he's projecting onto the prophets, the discovery of the evil of indifference. One may be decent and sinister, pious and sinful. In condemning the clergyman who joined Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in protesting against local statutes and practices which denied constitutional liberties to groups of citizens on account of race, a white preacher declared, "The job of a minister is to lead the souls of men to God, not to bring about confusion by getting tangled up in transitory social problems." In contrast to this definition, the prophets passionately proclaim that God himself is concerned with the transitory social problems, with the blights of society, with the affairs of the marketplace. What is the essence of being a prophet? A prophet is a person who holds God and men in one thought, at one time, at all times. Our tragedy begins with the segregation of God, with the bifurcation of the secular and sacred. There are, of course, many among us whose record in dealing with the Negroes and other minority groups is unspotted. However, an honest estimation of the moral state of our society will disclose some are guilty, but all are responsible.
We turn to page 171. Adonai Melech, Adonai Malach, Adonai Yimloch le'olam ba'ed. V'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz. V'yom ha'hu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Hoshienu Adonai Eloheinu l'hodot l'shem kodshecha, l'ishtabech b'tilatecha. Baruch Adonai Elohei Yisrael, min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, v'amar kol ha'am. Amen. Hallelujah. Kol ha-neshama tehallel, hallelujah. Kol ha-neshama tehallel, hallelujah. Kol ha-neshama we move with our first psalm of Sukkot de Zimra on page 176. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, אמונתך בלילות, אמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני. עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש בער לא ידע, חסיל לא יבין עצות. בפרח רשעים כמו עשב, ויציצו כל פועלי אבן, ושם דם עדי עד. ואתה מרום לעולם אדוני, כי הנה אויביך אדוני, כי הנה אויביך יאבדו, יתפרדו כל פועלי אבן. ותרעם כרעם קני בלותי בשמן רענן, ותביט עיני בשורי בקמים עלי, מרעים תשמענה אוזני. צדיק אתה אמר יפרח, כרס בלבנון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובו בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו. להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתו.
We're going to do also Psalm 93, which is on the next page, page 178. The Creator reigns robed in pride. God is robed in power, clothed in strength. So the world is set firm and cannot be shaken. Your throne was set firm long ago. From eternity you are. Almighty, the floods may storm aloud, the floods may storm and thunder. But even above the roar of great waves, mighty breakers of the ocean, supreme is the might of the Creator.
Mikolot Maim Rabim, Adirim Mishpereyam, Mikolot Maim Rabim, Adirim Mishpereyam, Adir Bamarom Yalailai, Adir b'marom yalaylay, adir b'marom Adonai yalaylay, adir b'marom yalaylay, adir b'marom yalaylay, adir b'marom Adonai. The proofs you give are very sure. Holiness is the mark of your house, God, as long as time endures.
Page 199. Baruch Adonai le'olam amen va'amen. Baruch Adonai Elohim Elohei Yisrael. Oseh niflaot levado, Baruch Shem kvodo le'olam v'yimalei chavodo et kol haaretz. Amen v'amen.
Nishmat kol chai, tevarech et shimcha. Min haolam ve'ad haolam ata
Umi baladecha ein lanu melech go'el u'moshia, podeh u'matzil ve'oneh umrachem. B'cholei tzara v'tzuka ein lanu melech ozeh b'somecha zulatecha. Elohei harishonim v'ha'achronim, Eloah kol briot, Adon kol toladot, chamchulal b'chol hatishbachot. Hamlachei golamo b'chesed u'vriotav b'rachamim, v'vadonai lo yanum v'lo yishan, hamoreh yishenim, v'hameokiretz nirdamim. Chayei meitim v'rofech olim pokeach ivrim v'zokev kafufim. L'cha levadecha, anachnu modim. On page 203, the Shacharit ad.
Shacharit ad maram v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ananu tzadikim b'Adonai yisharim nava tehila. V'fi yisharim titramam, uv'divrei tzadikim titbarav, uv'lshon chasidim titkadash, uv'kerem kadashim titala. Yishtabach shimcha ad malkeinu, ha'el hamelech hagadol v'hakadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Ki lekana Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu le'olam va'ed. Shiru shvaka, kedusha u'malchut, berachot v'hodot, l'shimcha hagadol v'hakadosh. U'me'olam v'ad olam atah el, Baruch atah Adonai, Barak ha'anshamot, Ribon kol ha'ma'asim, Abocher b'shirei zimra, melechei ha'olamim. Yitgadol ve'yitgadosh shemei rabbah, ve'elmad yivrach yirtei v'yamleh malchutei, v'chayechad u'v'yom echad, u'v'chayet achol beit Yisrael, v'galam man karib v'yimeru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba Mavora, me'olam ol me'amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach v'yishtabach, yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar now call each other to prayer with the words of the Baruch Hu on page 206. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotze Or Vorei Choshech Oseh Shalom Uvarei Et HaKol HaKol Yaducha VaHaKol Yishabhucha VaHaKol Yomru Ein Kadosh Kadonai HaMe'er Li'olam Kulo U'Lioshvav Uvtuvo Machadesh B'chol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh V'Reishit Ma'arabu Ma'asecha Adonai Kulam B'hoch Ma'asita Mala Haaretz Kinyanecha Hamelech Hamromam Levado Me'az Hameshubach V'Hamufa'ah V'Hamitnaseh Mimot Olam Elohei Olam B'Rachamecha Harabim Racheim Aleinu Adon Uzeinu Tzur Miskabenu Magein Yeshenu Miskav Ba'adenu Or Chadash Al Tzion Ta'ir V'Nizkech Ulana Meher La'oro Baruch Ata Adonai Yotzer HaMa'orot. With deep love you have loved us, and with great and overflowing tenderness you have taken pity on us. Source of our life and our sovereign, show us compassion because of your own greatness and because of our ancestors who trusted in you. For you taught them rules to live by, to do your will with their whole heart. Let our eyes see the light of your teaching, and our hearts embrace your commands. Give us integrity to love you and fear you. So shall we never lose our self-respect, nor be put to shame. For you are the power which works to save us. You chose us from all peoples and tongues, and in love drew us near to your own greatness, to honor you, to declare your unity, and to love you. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, bi'ahava.
As we move into the Shema on page 212, I just want to remark on the beautiful chiasmus that is created around the Shema, that is the fact that it is framed by words for love, that we have just, Howard's just read the prayer ending in Ba'ahava, in love, and we will say the words of Shema and then immediately say Ba'ahavta, love. And that just might be a little kavanah with which we move into those words of attention. What is it that we're paying attention to? That may be an idea. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha v'v'lechtecha b'derech v'v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha v'chatavtam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharecha. Read the next paragraph and a half in silence. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אמת ויציב וקיים ומקובל, וטוב הדבר הזה עלינו לעולם ועד. אמת אלוהי עולם מלכנו, צור יעקב מגן אישנו, לדור ודור הוא קיים ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, פודנו ומצילנו, מעולם הוא שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך. It is you who always helped our ancestors. In every generation, you were the shield and savior for them and their children after them. Happy indeed are those who hear your commands and set your teaching and your word upon their hearts. It is true that you are the first and that you are the last. And besides you, we have no sovereign who rescues and saves us. From Egypt, you delivered us, eternal our God, and redeemed us from the camp of slavery. Moses and Miriam and the children of Israel responded to you in song with great joy, all of them saying, God, who is like you among the gods people worship? Who like you is majestic in holiness, awesome in praise, working wonders? Shira chadasha shibchu geulim l'shimcha al sfat hayam, yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu v'yamaru, Adonai yimloch la'olam va'ed.
Yisrael, Kuma Bezrat Yisrael, Kolenu Adonai, Tzevaot Shamu, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai,
And we're on the top of page 222.
We move into the Amidah together with the words, my God, open my lips, and my mouth shall declare your praise. Adonai Sefat Tivta Ufi Agita Hilata Adonai Sefat Tivta Ufi Agita Hilata.
Julie, are you going to lead us through this?
I was just waiting for my internet to catch up. Apologies.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Elohei Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גואל לפני פניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עושה ומושיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, פוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממיץ ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר.
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלאכות הארץ כבודו.
ליומותם ברוך יאמרו.
ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך, ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור.
ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
ישמח משה במתנת חלקו, כי אבן נאמן קראת לו, כליל תפארת בראשו נתת, ועמדו לפניך על הר סיני, ושני לוחות הבנים הוריד בידו, וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת, וכן כתוב בתורתך. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים והארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, רצנה במנוחתנו, קדשנו במצוותיך. שמחלקנו בתורתך, סבנו בטובך, שמח נפשנו בשועתך. ותהה ליבנו לעבדך באמת. והנחילנו, אדוני אלוהינו, באהבה וברצון, שבת קודשך. וינוחו בה כל ישראל מקדשי שמך. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מקדש השבת. ורצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל ולתפילתם שאי. וברחמך הרבים תחפוץ בנו ותשרה שכינתך על ציון. ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון.
מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו לעולם ועד. צורנו צורכינו ומגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונצפה תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך. ועל ניסך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. הטוב כי לוחה לרחמך, המרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, כי מעולם קיווינו לך. ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם ויתנשא, תמיד שמך מלכנו לעולם ועד. וכל החיים ידעוך סלע, והללו ויברכו את שמך הגדול באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות.
Grant us peace, goodness and blessing, life, grace and kindness, justice and mercy. Source of our life, bless us altogether with the light of your presence, for in the light of your presence you give us, our living God, law and life, love and kindness, justice and mercy, blessing and peace. And in your eyes it is good to bless your people Israel with the strength to make peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. May the words of our mouths and the meditations and reflections of our hearts be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer.
Oh, say shalom imama, uyase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei teiva, ve'imaru amen, ve'imu amen. Ve'imaru amen. Ve'imu amen. We now prepare to move into our Torah service. And I believe perhaps the words Etz Chaim may be about to appear on your screens, possibly. If there we go. Thank you so much, Wardens. So we move into our Torah service with these words of Etz Chaim, which is so lovely because not only is it one way of referring to Torah, but it's also the name of our community. So it reminds us that we are moving into this Torah service as a community that shares in Torah. Etz Chaim Hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tomecha me'ushar. I believe now we have the privilege of being able to hand over to Rabbi Roberta, who's going to introduce our Torah portion for this week.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to be reading this morning Numbers 13, verse 25 to chapter 14, verse 10. I'm going to do just a bit of introduction beforehand. First of all, to tell you what goes on before the passage that we read. The children of Israel are at Kadesh Barnea, sometimes called Kadesh, sometimes called Kadesh Barnea. If modern identification is correct, it's a set of oases about 50 miles southwest of Hebron, virtually on the Sinai-Canaan border. Moses tells 12 men, one from each tribe, to go and reconnoiter the land of Canaan that God has promised them and which they're about to enter. And there may be two versions of the story of that travel through the land that come just before the one I'm about to read. First of all, Moses tells them to go to Hebron and the hill country, and Caleb does that. And then they also go on to look at the whole of the land which is Caleb and Joshua and all the rest of them. And they go a long way north, way beyond the northern borders of what we now consider to be Israel, through to the northern end of the Lebanese mountains, to the pass that leads to the land of Hamat in Syria. So that really is a long way north. What's interesting to me about the fact that there may be two versions here is that Caleb is of the tribes of Judah, and he goes and scouts out the southland to Hebron. And then Caleb and Joshua, who's of the tribes of Israel, go further north. So here we already have the split, as it were, between the southlands, Judah, and the northland of Israel. And it's right here before they even enter the land. We begin our reading when they return at the end of a 40-day trip. And I'm sure I hardly need to remind you that the word 40 in Hebrew simply means a long time. It doesn't actually mean 40 days. It comes up far too often to mean that literally. It just means a long time. 10 of the men, this is where we begin reading, 10 of the men say it's the land of milk and honey, and bring back an enormous bunch of grapes slung on a branch to show them. And I'm sure, again, that most of you will know that the design of the Israel Tourist Office is precisely that, a huge bunch of grapes slung between two men carrying it along. They also say, but they don't just show that it's a really fertile land, they also say it was a land that ate its people. So what do they mean? Do they mean it was fertile? They've shown them the fruit of it. Or was it barren? Or perhaps they meant that the people were always waging war on each other, because it's a very divided land. It isn't at that point a single land. It's a land of city-states. And so they may easily have been at war with each other over tracts of land for quite a long time. In any case, they say it's impossible to conquer the land because the people are huge and their cities have enormous walls and they're generally too well defended. Mention is made of the Nephilim and Anakim, usually translated as giants. I have my doubts. I think that Anakim just means big. The word Anak means big, but it can also mean, because I checked this yesterday in the dictionary, it can also mean wearing necklaces. So maybe the Anakim are a tribe of people who wear torques around their throats, necklaces around their throats, could be. The Nephilim are mentioned in Genesis in a very strange verse, which says that the sons of the gods came down to earth to marry the daughters of men, and the Nephilim were there too. The word Nephilim is linked to the root nun pe lamed, which means to fall. And so rather than big, I think this is about falling in some way, that these are seen as descendants of the people that fell, of the gods, godlets, who fell to earth. As I say, it's a strange passage. And Caleb and Joshua say that the Israelites can conquer the land. The rest of them say they can't, and they try to persuade the people by saying, I think this business about largeness is a way of saying, we can't attack them, they're too big for us. And so the people take that up and they want to stone Caleb and Joshua, at which point the glory of God appears over the tent of meetings to the whole of the people. And that is the end of our part of the parasha today. But I wanted to make one more point, which is actually quite topical at the moment in view of the possible annexation of the territories, or some of the territories, at the beginning of July, because in this passage we have a complete definition of the land of Israel. The Amalekites live in the Negev, Amalek being the eternal enemies of Israel. They'd already, somewhere in the book of Exodus, stopped the Israelites from entering the land from the south. The Amorites, Hittites, and Jebusites live in the hill country. The Hittites are not the great Hittite empire of the north, which had probably disappeared by this time anyway, but there must be a Semitic tribe living in the area. And the Jebusites are the people of Jebus, which later becomes Jerusalem. And the Canaanites live on the coastal plain and in the Jordan Valley. So between Amalekites in the Negev, Amorites, Hittites, and Jebusites in the hills, and Canaanites on the coast and in the Jordan Valley, you have a kind of word map of Israel. I'll leave it at that point. I could make a quite sarky remark, because I can feel coming off the screen the idea that nobody really wants to, very few people, some perhaps want to see the annexation, but not many of us. And I have to add, because I want to be honest, please God, it doesn't happen, because it will lead to such trouble. However, end of political speech for the day. So we turn to Numbers chapter 13, verse 25. In the Plout, if you're following in Plout, it's page 981. I'm going to translate as I go. I know you'll have the translation on screen. I like my own translation because that's the way I do it. Okay, so.
I'm going to call up the first Aliyah, who's Brian Humphreys. Ya'amod lekriyat haTorah, Yosef ben Shmuel Halevi.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Adonai Hamvorach leolam ba'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'kabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
V'yashuvu mitur ha'aretz miketz 40 yom. The spies returned from reconnoitering the land at the end of 40 days. Vayelchu v'yavo'u el Moshe ve'el Aharon ve'el kol adat b'nei Yisrael el midbar Paran Kadesha. And they came to Moses and Aaron and the whole community of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. V'yashivu otam davar ve'et kol ha'edah v'yarum et pri ha'aretz. And they reported to them and to all the people, and they showed them the fruit of the land. That's this huge bunch of grapes. V'sapru lo vayomru, banu el ha'aretz asher shalachtanu, v'gam zavat chalav u'devash, v'gam zavat chalav u'devash hi, v'zeh piriyah. And they told him, and they said, we came into the land that you sent us to, and it is a land of milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Ephes, ki az ha'am hayoshev ba'aretz, v'he'arim b'tzurot gedolot me'od, v'gam yelidei ha'anak ra'inu sham. But it's no good, because the people who live in the land are too strong, and their cities are mightily defended. And we also say and saw Anakites there. Amalek yoshev ba'eretz hanegev, ve'achiti v'hayevusi v'ha'emori yoshev b'har, v'haknani yoshev al hayam v'al yad hayarden. Amalek lives in the Negev land, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live in the coastal plain and along the river Jordan. Vayahas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe, vayomer ale na'ale, alo na'ale, v'yarashnu ota, ki yacholnu chala. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses, and he said, we can go up and we can take possession of it, and we can overcome it. V'ha'anashim asher alu imo amru lo nuchal la'alot el ha'am ki chazak hu mimenu. But the men who had gone up with him said, we cannot conquer this people, because they are too strong for us. V'yotziu dibat ha'aretz asher taru ota el b'nei Yisrael. And they gave a report of the land that they had reconnoitered to the people of Israel. Lemor ha'aretz asher avarnu ba latur ota eretz ochelet yoshveh hahi. And they said, the land which we pass through to reconnoiter is a land that eats up, consumes its inhabitants. V'chol ha'am asher ra'inu b'tocha anshe midot. And all the people that we saw in it are huge, enormous. V'sham ra'inu et ha'nephilim, and we saw the Nephilim there. B'nei anak min ha'nephilim, the Anakites are of the Nephilim. V'anahi b'einenu k'chagavim, v'chein hayinu b'eineihem. And in our own eyes we look like grasshoppers, and thus we must have done in their eyes.
Brian, can you do our...
Yeah, I've just put on mute. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'hayei olam atah b'torenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Ya'amod lekriyat haTorah David ben Moshe v'Simcha.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Vatisa kol ha'am ha'eda, vayitnu et kolam, vayivku ha'am balayla hahu. And all the community lifted up its voice and wept and sobbed through that night. Vayilonu al Moshe ve'al Aharon kol b'nei Yisrael. And all the people of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron. Vayomru alehem kol ha'eda, lu matnu be'eretz Mitzrayim, or b'midbar hazeh lu matnu. And they said, the whole community said to them, would we had died in the land of Egypt, or would we could die in this wilderness? Which of course is precisely what they did in the end. V'lama Adonai mevi otanu el haaretz hazot linpol b'cherev. Why did God bring us into this land to fall by the sword? Nashenu v'tapenu hiyu lavaz. Our women folk and our children will be plunder. Halotov lanu shuv Mitzrayma. Is it not better that we should go back to Egypt? Vayomru ish el achiv nitna rosh v'nashuva Mitzrayma. And each man said to his fellow, let us choose a different leader and return to Egypt. Vayipol Moshe v'Aharon al pneihem lifnei kol kahal adat b'nei Yisrael. And Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the whole assembly of the community of Israel. V'Yoshua bin Nun v'Kalev bin Yefuna min hatarim et haaretz karu bigdehem. But Joshua ben Nun and Caleb ben Yefuna, of those who reconnoitered the land, tore their garments in grief. Vayomru el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, and they said to the whole community of Israel, Lemor haaretz asher avarnu ba latorota tova haaretz me'od me'od. And they said, the land through which we traveled to reconnoiter it is a very, very good land. Im chafetz banu Adonai v'hevi otanu el haaretz hazot. If God is pleased with us and is bringing us into this land, unatana lanu eretz asher hi zavat chadav u'devash, and is giving us a land which flows with milk and honey, then so be it. I got the grammar a bit wrong just then. Ach ba'Adonai al timrodu, but do not rebel against the Lord. Va'atem al tir'u et am haaretz, but you must not fear the people of the land. Ki lachmenu hem, because we shall devour them. Sar Tzilam Me'alehem, their protector has abandoned them. But Adonai Itanu, but the Lord is with us. Al Tira'um, do not fear them. Vayomru kol ha'eda le'ogomotam ba'avanim. But the community wanted to stone them to death. Uchvod Adonai nira ba'ohel mo'ed el kol b'nei Yisrael. But the glory of God appeared in the tent of meeting to the whole of the people of Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natzad b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
We come now to the Haftarah.
I believe we have Ruth Young.
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Today's Haftarah reading is not from the prophets, but from an argument on life and death by Amos Oz, which was written in 1983 as a reaction to the Lebanese War of 1982, which was dubbed Operation Peace for Galilee by the Israeli government. Amos Oz, who died in 2018, was one of Israel's most well-known writers and peace activists. He came to prominence as one of a group of young kibbutznik writers who assembled a collection on the 7-Day War, denouncing the occupation of the territories Israel had just won. He advocated for the partition of historical Palestine into 2 states, Israel and Palestine, alongside each other, and he was a founder member of what became Peace Now. In an article written in 2016, he said, "I love Israel, but I don't like it very much," which has contemporary resonance for all of us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehineach et ruach hakodesh al yireav, v'ratzav divreihem haktuvim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah v'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amal u'v'divrei emet v'tzedek. Amen. We can all agree without difficulty that what Zionism means is that it is good for the Jewish people to return to the land of Israel, and it is bad for that people to be scattered among the nations. But from that point on, we disagree. I have stated many times that Zionism is not a first name, but a surname, a family name. And this family is divided, feuding over the question of a master plan for the enterprise. How shall we live here? Shall we aspire to rebuild the kingdom of David and Solomon? Shall we construct a Marxist paradise here, a Western society, a social democratic welfare state? Or shall we create a model of the petite bourgeoisie diluted with a little Yiddishkeit? I think that the nation state is a tool, an instrument, that it is necessary for a return to Zion, but I am enamored of this instrument. The idea of the nation state is, in my eyes, goyim naches, a Gentile's delight. I would be more than happy to live in a world composed of dozens of civilizations, each developing in accordance with its own internal rhythm or cross-pollinating one another, without anyone emerging as a nation state. No flag, no emblem, no passport, no anthem, no nothing. Only spiritual civilization tied somehow to their lands, without these tools of statehood and without the instruments of war. But the Jewish people has already staged a long-running one-man show of that sort. The international audience sometimes applauded, sometimes threw stones, and occasionally slaughtered the actor. No one joined us. No one copied the model the Jews were forced to sustain for 2,000 years, the model of a civilization without the tools of statehood. For me, this drama ended with the murder of Europe's Jews by Hitler, and I'm forced to take it upon myself to play the game of nations with all the tools of statehood, even though it causes me to feel, as George Steiner put it, like an old man in kindergarten. To play the game with an emblem and a flag and a passport and an army and even war, provided that such war is an absolute existential necessity. I accept those rules of the game because existence without the tools of statehood is a matter of mortal danger, but I accept them only up to this point. To take pride in these tools of statehood, to worship those toys, to crow about them, not I. If we must maintain these tools, including the instruments of death, it must not only be with glee, but with wisdom as well. I would say with no glee at all, only with wisdom and with caution. Nationalism itself is, in my eyes, the curse of mankind. Al HaTorah v'al ha'avodah v'al hitvei chachma v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shanatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu l'kedusha u'lemenucha l'kabel l'tiferet al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mevorachim atach yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai tamid li'olam ba'ed Baruch atah Adonai L'kadesh HaShabbat.
Thank you, Ruth. We come now to our prayers for the community. They're on page 246. Our God, whose dominion is everlasting, we ask you to bless our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and to guide the government of this country. Help us to be good citizens, working together for justice and peace at home and abroad. Bless this holy community and all holy communities and support the life and work of all who labor for their welfare. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessing on the state of Israel and all who live there. Give wisdom and understanding to its leaders and friendship and compassion to the people, so that there may be lasting peace on its borders and in its homes. Soon may your promise be fulfilled, for Torah shall come out of Zion, and the word of God from Jerusalem. We ask you to listen to our prayers and look on us kindly, supporting those who are troubled, consoling the bereaved, sending relief to those in pain or anxiety. And Shirley's going to lead us in a Misha Beirach at this moment.
So we take this moment to invite anybody who's holding a name in their hearts, particularly in need of healing. If you'd like to share that in the chat or by asking the warden to unmute you, we leave a moment for you to do that now. Misha Beirach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Leah Uyevarech V'yerapeh et hacholim. We think of all those in need of healing. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim.
As you blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless our own congregation, all other congregations gathered in prayer, and everyone who responds to the needs of the community. May such be the divine will, and let us say, Amen.
As we bring our Torah service to an end once again with those words of Etz Chaim, it is a tree of life. Etz Chaim Hi, למחזיקים בה ותומכיך מאושר דרכיך דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיך שלום שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש ימינו כקדם.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay. I want to invite you to take a breath, to catch our breath. To be aware of our breathing. It's the most personal of activities. It happens anyway, day and night, ceaselessly, breathing in and out until it stops, until we stop. It's the most universal of activities, breathing. It connects us with each other, with all human beings, human life, animal life, plant life. It's breathtaking when you think about it. This most personal, most universal of processes. It's there too at the foundation of our tradition, in one of Judaism's most poetic and most essential verses. As humanity is created from the dust of the ground, the divine spirit is portrayed as entering into us through our nostrils, as God inspires us, blows into us, the nishmat chayim, the breath of life, the spirit of aliveness. The creation of humanity in Genesis is God's inspiration in all the ways that word can be understood. So our breathing, our breath, day in, day out, and right now, is a trace of divine activity, a sign of God's ongoing being and presence. So maybe when I say, let's take a breath, let's catch our breath, that's actually the wrong way round. Because it's the breath that takes us, that animates us, that keeps us alive. We don't create the breath. The breath creates us. We float along on the airwaves of our breathing, like a little boat bobbing on a vast sea. I know that's a mixed metaphor, but you have to forgive me. When the rabbis of old reflected on that verse from the tradition, delving into its meaning, weaving stories around its imagery, one of the things they focused on was the imagery of the dust of the ground from which humanity was formed. And they asked, in that slightly kind of pedantic but scrupulous way that was their wont, if God created us from the dust of the earth, what part of the world's dust did he use? Where did he collect it from? And there was inevitably a debate, a conversation about this. And there were those, we could call them the nationalists, the ethno-racial particularists, who took the view that, of course, God used the dust from the land of Israel, specifically the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, where the temple and the Holy of Holies would be built. But Rabbi Meir disagreed. This is in the 2nd century. No, he said, God took the dust from every part of the earth that would one day be inhabited by humanity. That's what was used. This is to teach us, though he chose not to spell this out, or at least the Talmud doesn't record it, but let us work it out. This is to teach us that all of humanity, every region and race and culture and religion, every human being, male and female, share in God's inspiration, God's breathing life into each one of us. The essential equality of human beings in this version, which is Meir's universalistic reading of the text, is what informs and underpins Judaism's opposition to racism. It's at the foundation of that passage from Heschel that we read earlier, Heschel's own prophetic-like words. Now, obviously, I've been thinking, as I'm sure all of you have, a lot over these last few weeks about I can't breathe and the power of the feelings worldwide unleashed in reaction to the breath of life being squeezed out of one man by another. Now, I'm not sure I've got anything very original to say about this, but I did want to talk about it because I've been wondering about what makes that phrase, I can't breathe, so resonant. And maybe it's because it does touch a universal chord in so many people, because the very issue of breathing and being deprived of breath has both a literal and a metaphorical hold on us and our lives, particularly at the moment. That beyond the specific theme of murder and the ugliness and evils of racism, we know that the universal pandemic of COVID-19 has been a virus that attacks our breathing. We're all walking around feeling, to a greater or lesser extent, depending on our circumstances and personalities and psychologies, but walking around feeling that I can't breathe could become our own experience, could be the last words we say or think. And for Black and Asian communities, BAME communities, these themes of racism and the virus, of course, intersect. Because we know now that certain ethnic groups, for multiple reasons, social, economic, political, have been more vulnerable to the virus than other demographics and are dying in greater numbers. But we also know, and we may not have thought it through this way exactly, but we know that I can't breathe resonates in increasingly larger concentric circles in societies around the world, whether it's in relation to the environment and the deadly toxicity in the air we breathe, shortening lives, contributing to other illnesses, damaging the brains of children as they grow, attacking the natural world that we depend on, or whether it's in terms of those social and economic conditions around the world that breed inequality, that stunt lives, that choke potential, that strangle the hope out of individuals and communities. I can't breathe is the deep, underlying, unspoken cry of the heart, wherever oppression and victimization and inequality are present. It's unspoken until it's spoken. It's unspoken until people watch one man in Minneapolis having the breath of life choked out of him by another man. It's unspoken until that man in his dying breath speaks the words that ignite a recognition in so many others that in his last words, he is, unbeknownst to himself, speaking for so many in so many other situations. He speaks to humanity. He speaks for humanity. You know, we say every day, Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. The breath of all life blesses your being. And our liturgy acknowledges that breathing is a blessing. It's a gift. It doesn't belong to us. It passes through us, this breath of life. It makes us humble. It's what we use to acknowledge our dependence. We can use our breath to bless or to curse, to create or to destroy, to inspire or to deaden. This week, I'm particularly feeling that we should enjoy this gift that we have while we can, because we won't have it forever. We are going to move on to the conclusion of our service, and Shirley is going to take us through the Aleinu. It's on page 310.
Thank you so much, Howard, for those beautiful words. Aleinu is on page 310. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתי זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס סגולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, ידעת היום בהשבות בלבביך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. Let's turn to page 347. I feel that what Howard's sermon has captured is the intersection of the different hopes for the future that we all harbour, a hope for healing of all sorts of kinds. And I feel that this passage for me often encapsulates those hopes. Page 347. We look to the future with hope. So many dreams have faded in the accusing light of day. So many visions of better times have turned into nightmares and blood. We have been disappointed too often. And yet still we hope. We hope for transformation, for societies where prejudice and superstition, fear and unrest give way to fullness of life and the humble recognition of our common humanity. We are in this together. We need each other and we need to affirm our hope. For goodness is real and justice is possible, and life on earth can be enhanced by those filled with an awareness of the eternal and a knowledge of their own transience. We are guests passing through. With patience, resilience and courage, we can leave this world a little better for our having been here. This is our hope. This is our security. In the light of eternity, we have a significance we cannot measure. Moment by moment, we build God's kingdom. Our world is in the process of being repaired through us and within us. This is our redemption. We look to the future with hope. And then all that has divided us will merge, and then compassion will be wedded to power, and then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind, And then both men and women will be gentle, and then both women and men will be strong, and then no person will be subject to another's will, and then all will be rich and free and varied, and then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old, and then all will nourish the young, and then all will cherish life's creatures, and then all will live in harmony with one another and the earth, and then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo, Echad.
We come to the part of the service where I ask our wardens and our wonderful background technological people to unmute people who would want to join in, who do want to join in with the Kaddish, to indicate if you can, and we'll try and have you available to hear and to speak the Kaddish when we come to it in a moment. You can, I think you can write it in the chat that you want it, or you can just put up your hand, and it will happen. I hope. It's another hope, a mini hope for this moment. Okay. I can see it happening as I speak, or as I keep quiet and watch. I can hear it. I can see it happening. Okay. You should know, of course. You do know, of course. And maybe this isn't the point, but I want to say it. Because I had a conversation this week with someone who was from the Orthodox community, saying how sad it was that he wasn't able to say Kaddish, even in a virtual community. And that seemed, he says it anyway, because he says in his own Scottish ironic way, this was my accountant who said this, he says, oh, I'm sure God hears it, whether I say it with other people or not. And in that casual remark, I think he actually hit on something very profound, that whether we're able to hear each other, or whether you're saying Kaddish in your own home where nobody can hear it, whether you say it out loud, or whether you say it in your heart, the attention to these words when thinking of someone who's gone is what actually matters. And God hears, as we know from the tradition, the silent cries of the soul as much as the words that come out of our mouths. This week in our community, we mourn the death of Eric Pash, husband of Shirley and father of Kathy and Susie. And we're holding in mind also in their Shloshim period, the memory of Tessa Franks, wife of Arnold, and mother of Annabelle and Tim Franks. We remember at this time all those who once shared with us the joys and challenges of life, but who are with us no longer. May their souls shine like the brightness of the heavens. We thank you, God, for all you gave them during their lives. And we think especially of those who died at this time in years past. Joseph Benba, father of Vivian Seymour. Sav Ben Pesach, father of Audrey Morris. Mark, father of Tonya Lieberman. Morris, father of Hetty Prashka. Pal, father of Eva Kellerman. Sharon Clifford, mother of Mark Clifford. Yosef Ben Avraham Lev, father of Ruth Young. Raina, mother of Michelle Freend. Lionel, father of Ros Levy and grandfather of Rachel and Benjamin. Moshe, father of Richard Twegg. Ronald William, father of Sharon Lima. Faye Fisher, mother of Peter Fisher and Irene Minsky. Yaakov ben Yitzchak, father of Alan Shackman. Charles Barnett, father of Barry Barnett. Yocheved, mother of Farrell Goldblatt. John, brother of Sheila Garretts. Trevor Brody, father of Heather Vile. Mabel Cooper, mother of Emma Davis. Jules Abelman, father of Cliff Abelman. Michael Montrose, brother of Monica Shackman. Leah, mother of Stephen Kay. Norma, mother of Heather Hyman. David, father of Keith Nieberman. Anne Simmons, mother of Jackie Draper. Anne David, sister of Vivian Chapman. Abraham, Aaron ben Abraham, husband of Audrey Soloway and father of Louise and Mark. Eddie Israel, brother of Victor Israel and uncle of Jonathan and Marion. Zichronam levacha. May the memory of their love and guidance be a source of enduring blessing. In loving memory, we sanctify God's name with the Kaddish on page 316. Yit Kadal. Yit Kadal. Rabba. Biama Divra Kirute, Biamlich Malchute. B'chayaton v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'galav bizman kavid v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabba v'barach le'olem. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'a v'yitramam v'yitnasei. V'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudshah v'yitchut. La'ela min kol yachata v'shivata. V'shbachata v'nechamata v'yamiram b'yoma v'yigru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom v'hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Say shalom, imama, uya, say shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol ha'olam.
So Hannah, you've got some announcements for us.
About shalom. Thank you, Howard. I'm really glad we could figure, somebody could figure the technical difficulties and you were here. So I'd like to thank everyone who contributed to this service. There's lots of things going on as always. At 6:30 tonight, there's Haftalah. And next week on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there are the regular things of 11 is with your clergy at 11 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, there's Jewish at 2ish. And this week you can talk about anti-Semitism in the Merchants of Venice. You can talk about the World Bank, and you can talk about somebody from the World Bank is going to come, and you can do Israeli dancing. And at 8 o'clock, there's Ma'arif. There's also on Wednesday, Professor Tony Bayfield continues talking about his book, in conversation about his book. And in 2 weeks' time, there's Yom Chakika on the 28th of June. And I'll post this all in the chat in a second. And the other thing I wanted to say, if you need any help because you're self-isolating, because you're in financial difficulties, or you are just struggling to cope, please look at the email, and there are all sorts of ways to find help for that. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you also to Roberta for sharing your knowledge and your Torah readings with us. It's always lovely to have different voices, and your voice in particular in the mix, in the rich mix. And thank you, Shuli, for holding this together with me. And you've got a song, a melody for us to finish with.
Yeah, thank you, Howard, for leading with me, and thank you, Ruth, for reading Haftarah, and everybody for being part of the service. I thought that to finish the service, we might sing a melody that Cantor Zoe taught us actually on the High Holy Days, but it kind of came into its own at the beginning of lockdown. And that takes from the words of Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, V'da, and know that every person must cross a very narrow bridge, but the main thing is not to be afraid. And I feel like it seems like there are a lot of narrow bridges out there at the moment, and that this melody felt appropriate way to end the service today. V'da, v'da, shahadam tzarich la'or gesher tzar me'od. V'da, v'da, shahadam tzarich la'or gesher tzar me'od. V'ha'ikar v'ha'klal shelo yitpachet klal. V'ha'ikar v'ha'klal shelo yitpachet klal. V'da, v'da, shahadam tzarich la'or gesher tzar me'od. Gesher tzar me'od. V'da, v'da, shahadam tzarich la'or gesher tzar me'od. Gesher tzar me'od. V'ha'ikar v'ha'klal shelo yitpachet klal. V'ha'ikar v'ha'klal shelo yitpachet klal. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom to everyone.
I don't know if we can unmute everybody. There we go. I think I unmuted everybody, or invited you to unmute yourselves. So Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
And we will make Kiddush in just a moment once everybody has, if anybody wants to get I'm probably going to go downstairs to get a Kiddush cup. If anybody else would like to also get a Kiddush cup, so that we can all do Kiddush together.
I love this bit where Shuli disappears, but you take us with you, don't you?
Of course. Would anybody particularly like to lead Kiddush?
I think you should go for it.
Your thing's ringing, Rich.
Oh, I remember this from last time, that the Shuli's internet downstairs is obviously not as good as upstairs, and she freezes unless she brings it upstairs.
It just has to catch up and switch from one route to another, which I think it's now.
Has it? Is that?
Yeah, you're there.
That's
You're there.
yeah.
Right. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'doratam b'rit olam. Beini u'bein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, Kishet Yamim Asa Adonai Et Hashamayim Vet Haaretz Ubayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayinafash Lachoret Yom HaShabbat Lekadsho Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Hagaplan L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.